We're here with Dan Smith of Vail Mountain Rescue, talking about staying safe in the backcountry. And I know you guys are always having a very busy winter season. You have a busy summer season. So tell me a little bit about what you've encountered over the last couple of days, the last week.
Yeah, last couple of days. The last 4 days we had 3 missions. One was, let's see if we can do them in order. One was a young lady from Junction who went hiking in her tennis shoes. Not quite sure why in February you go hiking in your tennis shoes. It's generally not a good idea. And she did East Lake Creek, and it was pretty packed down. Our guys were even moving on fast during the mission. And she went down, crossed the bridge. It's about 2.5 miles in. And there's really no place to go from there. There's no loop. You have to turn around and go back. Apparently she turned right and got into some heavy tamarisk and you know, the foliage we have down with the creeks, and became disoriented, called 911 on herself, which is the right answer. We put 2 teams of 3, 6 folks in, and came at her from 2 different directions. The folks that were in the bottom were in knee-deep snow. And normally it's thigh-deep, but you know, it was knee-deep. And the other folks came over the trail, both got to her at the same time. Turned around, walked her back out one trail to her car. We were glad we found her. She was glad we found her. Good mission.
I did even hiking in the summertime in tennis shoes, because I did a Booth Lake hike in tennis shoes, and that was the first extensive hike I did by myself. And I tell you, my toenails were bruised and my feet were blistered.
And the sole of a tennis shoe will not protect the bottom of your foot from rocks. And all these trails are rocky. They are called the Rocky Mountains for a reason. Then we had a family of snowmobilers that got their machines totally stuck. Well, I'm not going to tell you where, because the machines are still there, and they're going to be there a while.
They're still
there? Oh yeah,
wow.
we got up there and looked at them and said, no, we're Mountain Rescue, not AAA.
And you didn't have anybody this time say, hey, you know what, I want to stay with my $15,000 sled?
Nobody did. It was a father and 4 children, and our guys, we couldn't even take our snow machines in. They hiked in the 2.5 miles. Well, some did skis, some did snowshoes. I think a couple of people were in cleats. Got to them. Father had been real lucky. For some strange reason, he couldn't remember he'd bought a lighter that day. So he was able to build a fire, and the kids thought it was a great adventure. They were warm and snuggly. Brought them on down. But that was a 5-hour mission ending at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Kind of burned people out. That was Saturday night. And then Sunday, we get a call from a fellow's roommate that his roommate didn't come back. He was supposed to come back at 5 o'clock the day before, and by 11 o'clock the following day, 11 o'clock Sunday, he hadn't shown up. So we had about 15 people out on that one, and apparently the reason he didn't come back is he had an encounter with a moose. And nobody got physical, but the moose had right away, and it caused him to divert and get lost, and it took him a while to reorient himself, and he popped out of the woods. 3 typical normal days in Vail Mountain Rescue. Nobody made any cataclysmic mistakes. Everybody made some mistakes.
Yeah.
He had a GPS with him, the fellow on Meadow Mountain. He actually didn't know he was lost. The roommate thought he was lost. And that's the right answer. I mean, we're not irritated at the roommate or anybody else. That's exactly the way these things have to go, because you can't take a risk.
And what should the hiker have done in the instance with that moose?
Well, stay still, let the moose have the right of way, be aware of your situation, and don't surprise the moose. Moose are very, very quiet. For a huge animal, a 1,200-pound animal, you often don't hear them. And you'll just be going down a trail and you go, oh, moose. All of our animals here are pretty benign if you behave yourself. With a bear, you don't get between the mother bear and the cubs. Bears aren't a problem right now, they're hibernating. Cougars, most of the encounters are at night because they're night hunters. And you just see these 2 yellow eyes staring at you, and he really probably doesn't want to eat you unless you force him to.
Right. So
you just stay still. If you have to do anything, back away, don't turn around and run. And he'll move on. We've had that many times. And then moose. The elk encounters are interesting because they're usually with herds, and they're pretty benign. Deer encounters are fun. Porcupine encounters you should stay away from. We get a lot of porcupine dogs around here, and apparently with canines, they never learn not to go for a porcupine. I've had friends with dogs that have been quilled 3 times. You know, and he said, dog? Aren't you smart enough to learn from the first 2? And apparently the dog hadn't.
Well, Dan, thank you so much. We're going to keep chatting with you here in just a moment. We're going to keep informing you about how to stay safe, and also we're going to find out a little bit more about Vail Mountain Rescue. We're going to go over to Ashley with the weather forecast coming up next.